Hello and welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. You may have heard me mention recently that one of my plans for this year is to try to finish off some painting projects that have been lingering for far too long. One of those projects is painting up the miniatures from the Heroes for DungeonQuest expansion, which I consider to be one of the more pressing jobs as those miniatures serve double duty in games of Advanced Hero Quest. So today I am going to do a super quick paint job on the Dwarf Berserker, the precursor to everyone's favourite Dwarven murder machine, the Trollslayer. Why the Berserker in particular? Well, let's just say a DungeonQuest playthrough is long overdue on the channel, and the Berserker is really fun. Our Dwarven friend is actually called Fhyll Madaxe, so he sounds like he could be one of the Nakmak Feegle, although he has appeared with various other monikers, including Very Upset Berserker. He was sculpted by one of the Perrys and is part of the C-Series range of dwarves, which dates from 1985. Fhyll has the ultimate dad bod, and he looks like he's just stood on some Lego while he was going to the bathroom at 3 in the morning. And you will notice he has a sword and an axe held at his sides, the blades of which extend below his toes. This is fine on a 20mm square base, but more of an issue on a 25mm round base. So I did a quick bit of scenic basing. I stood Fhyll on a piece of broken pillar, it gives him a bit more stature on the tabletop. I have pinned him in place. I drilled a small hole in one foot, glued in a piece of paperclip, then slotted that into a hole in the scenic element. That's just to reduce the risk of him snapping off the base. I should mention as well, this model was a git to clean up. There was lots of flashing under the arms, and that took some time to scrape out. I will admit I sort of got a bit fed up cleaning it, so it's a touch rough under there still, but unless you are really looking for it, I think it's okay. The good news is, once you have it cleaned up, this is a really easy miniature to paint. It has hardly any fiddly bits and pieces, and, well, it's just an angry little almost naked dude. Once you have the skin done, you're almost there. And I have started by priming the miniature with Ghoul Grey from Colourforge, which is a really nice colour to work from. It's a good choice for when you don't want to go with a black primer, but white is going to leave the miniature a bit too bright and colourful. Even though I do want to work from that brighter base, I still want some strong definition for all of the details, so the first thing I'm going to do is grab some Nuln Oil and wash this over the whole miniature, aiming to get into all of the details to improve their definition. This will also make it easier to see what I'm doing as I paint the rest of the miniature, and as a little bonus, it lines in the details on the teeth, saving us a job later on. With the Nuln Oil dry, I am going to deal with the skin tone, as that is 90% of the work, and I'm going to use Bugman's Glow for this. I am going to thin it slightly with water, and then I'm going to apply 2 coats. I don't need to worry about being neat, I just need to focus on ensuring I get complete coverage with a nice smooth finish. We will of course shade that skin, but not yet. It's going to make sense to get all of the other base colours down first. Next is Wild Rider Red, which is going to be for our Trollslayer's beard and hair. As before, I'm going to thin it slightly and apply 2 coats, making sure I get into the tricksy recesses of the hair, and also remembering to do the eyebrows. Then I'm switching to Steel Legion Drab. I'm putting 2 thin coats of this over the fur loincloth, the boots, and the handles of the weapons. Of course, you could go for something brighter for the clothing if you really wanted to, or you could mix up the shades of brown. I am just being quick here, but I will pick out the belt in a darker brown. Mornafang will be good for this. I need to be careful here as we paint under the arms to avoid any overpainting. But of course, if I do slip, we are still at the point where it's easy to do touch-ups as we haven't done any mixing, shading, or layering. Then it's time for some good old Xandri dust. I'm going to slap this over the rubble on the base, because remember, my DungeonQuest characters do double duty in Advanced Hero Quest, so even though there is a scenic element here, I want it to be the same sort of colour as all of my other Advanced Hero Quest stuff. And with that done, we can move on to our metallics. I have saved this for last because after using metallic paint, it's a good idea to change your water to avoid getting any shiny flecks in your other paints. Saving it until the end just means less water changes. I am using 2 metallics from the P3 range, mainly because I have them, so I might as well. First is Cold Steel for the blades of the weapons and the little necklace. I'm focusing on smooth, clean coverage here, avoiding any overpainting onto the feet. Then I am changing to Deathless Metal to do the metal banding on the rubble. Really not sure what this is going to look like, it's just an experiment. And that finishes all of the base coats, so now we need to do some shading to bring out the detail. I'm going to use Agrax Earthshade over pretty much everything. Normally I would shade skin with Reikland Flesh Shade, but the Agrax is going to give us a darker skin tone. Using Agrax will tone down the orange hair, but I'm going to really brighten that up in a moment. I want it to look quite unnatural and bold. With the wash completely dry, I need to go back through each of my base colours in turn. I'm thinning them right down with Lamy and medium to make glazes, and I'm going to use a fine brush to build up layers of highlights. This will lighten up the miniature and really help to make all of the sculpted details pop. With each of these highlights you can go further if you want to, adding a brighter tone to your base coat colour or moving to a different brighter paint. For the most part I'm not going to worry, but I am going to go one stage brighter on the hair, switching to Fire Dragon Bright. Afterwards I will give the hair a very light wash of Fugan Orange, which will help to blend the highlights and will redden up the brown recesses, and then I will just touch the tips of the most prominent bristles with Cassandora Yellow to make the colours more vibrant. Every Trollslayer needs a fabulous beard after all. At this point it's time to do the eyes. Sometimes you can skip the eyes if they are really small or overshadowed, but the eyes here are on full display and painting them is pretty much essential to give the miniature life. But I'm not going to do anything too special. I will thin some Pallid Witch flesh and line in the eyes with an insane detail brush from Army Painter. Then I will thin a little Abaddon Black and dot in some pupils with a Psycho detail brush. The last thing to do is paint the base in my Advanced Hero Quest colour scheme, adding in a few flagstones to complete the look, and that is Fhyll done. As always, there is loads more I could have done, lots more layering and blending, but by keeping it simple this was an incredibly quick miniature to paint. If they were all like this, my paint queue would be a lot smaller. Next stop for Fhyll, Dragonfire Castle. But that is it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really like this video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so, and hopefully I will see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.